let's get into it. So, when the Death Egg was blown out of the sky, it landed in a giant lake. Well, not a giant lake, but a big lake on the floating island of Angel Island. And that's what causes this game. Causes Angel Island to fall. So you can see this third game has a lot more playability as well as save files. So, of course, there's a new island, again for Tails, like South Island showed up next to West Island, so after they go and investigate to see what's up, I'll move my mouse, and they immediately get jumped by Knuckles. They don't know what his deal is. Well, his deal is he's the guardian of this island, and of the Master Emerald that resides on it. As we can see, got some islands back there. One of them is clearly South Island. Oh. Probably West Side Island up there too. So, for sure, Sonic and Tails noticed it. The manual itself likes to say that Tails created... We will get into what the Master Emerald does, so don't worry about that. It's a little ambiguous, but... manual says that Tails decided to make, I'm gonna perfect this, just to show what that does. A gem radar for gems of power. Because Chaos Emeralds have been important, they've got 7 of them. And it makes sense to me that, yeah, Tails could definitely make one of those, probably in like a day. He actually has one like that in Sonic Adventure 2. But I don't think it's the reason they noticed the island at all, which is how the manual likes to make it sound. More like they're preparing to go and he makes it, and it's like, oh shoot guys, we gotta go, Eggman might be involved. And they'd be right. After falling to the island, Knuckles, in a panic, he doesn't see the fall. He sees suddenly there's this giant egg in Dragon Lake, is what it's called. And is like, this is a dangerous situation, probably. I'm going to move the Master Emerald to the Hidden Palace instead of its normal altar. And he encounters Eggman, because this man's resourceful, he knows how to find stuff in the Hidden Palace, I'm assuming, and he convinces Knuckles that there's actually a mural there that shows something to come of the Master Emerald. He convinces Knuckles that he's here to protect the Master Emerald and from whatever's chasing in that. And it looks like Sonic. So, Knuckles has never really met anyone since the rest of his people died from the island. So he has no reason not to trust this guy. He doesn't want anything to happen to the Master Emerald. So he listens to him, and when Sonic gets here, assaults Sonic and takes the Chaos Emeralds, because clearly these are related to the Master Emerald. And you notice that we just found any old big ring and got a Chaos Emerald earlier. That was the special stage. There's a lot of preface. We're gonna go to another one right now, don't worry. Tails, you... Oh no. This is such a rare glitch to happen. Oh god. There we go. The big rings are just around. We don't need like 50 rings or anything, like we did previous stages. So that's probably a good point to get into the relation of rings and Chaos Emeralds. We'll just get right into that. I could have started on last week. Because back on South Island, like, we saw big rings too when Sonic was gonna get a Chaos Emerald. And on South Island, or West Side Island, it was a little different. I don't mean to be perfecting this. I was only gonna perfect the first one, that's when you get all of the rings. Just to show you what it is, but we're gonna do these for speed. But on this island, there's a lot of emerald energy happening. It's the home of the Master Emerald, so there's just big rings wherever. And that's where you get the Chaos Emeralds. It is implied that the rings themselves are like a byproduct of the Emerald's power on this planet. And that doesn't necessarily apply to just the Chaos Emeralds or the stones. What I mean by that isn't going to matter for at least a couple more games. But basically these rings of power can be assumed to be around at all due to the existence of the Chaos Emerald. And it's just easier to access the subdimensional spaces that the Chaos Emeralds hide in when you're on the island where their controlling emerald basically is. You'll notice that the island's on fire. I probably should have mentioned about that. It's a little hard to think that Knuckles thinks Eggman is a good guy when he's going to do this to his island. You didn't turn the stream on, come on. But, you know, Knuckles is baby brain. It's fine. We're just getting all of these emeralds as soon as we can. Look at this. I like the special stages in this game. This isn't Sonic 2 for sure. Is Sonic breathing? You know? Probably not. But he has a bubble shield now, so it's fine. Which shouldn't... I also had a fire shield, which probably also helped. There's different elemental shields in this game, with different effects for Sonic. For Sonic specifically, because if you play as Tails, or if you play as Knuckles, they have different abilities. Tails can fly, because you need to double jump to use them. Sonic's base double jump is... it's a little slash type move that's known as an instant shield. It will protect you from any damage for a very short window, but when he has a bubble shield, he can breathe underwater. They can all breathe underwater if they have it, but Sonic can do a bounce attack that lets him get some extra height. If he has the lightning shield, that will attract rings, and then Sonic can do a double jump with it. And for the fire shield, it protects you from flames, and you can do a sort of forward dash, sort of like the homing attack in later games. Of course, it doesn't work on angles. Well, Tails flies no matter what, and Knuckles glides no matter what, as well as climbing. Oops. So, Zoe, do you want a quick recap? When did you start hearing what I was saying? Oh boy, okay. So, yeah, let's just do a quick recap of the story so far. End of Sonic 2, Death Egg is blown out of the sky, and it lands on Angel Island in a big lake. The lake is important, that's why I keep mentioning it. Sonic and Tails, they notice there's another island nearby that wasn't there because Angel Island fell to the ocean. after the Death Egg landed on it. So they get ready to investigate. Tails makes a jewel sensor on the way and finds that there's a big power source here. And as soon as they arrive by plane, Knuckles knocks Sonic out of Supersonic and takes all the Chaos Emeralds and hides them on the island. Knuckles believes that Eggman is helping protect the Master Emerald, even though we can all assume he's going to use its power for his own gain, because he's Eggman. While he rebuilds his Death Egg. And it's kind of hard to convince Knuckles, probably, that that's the case, because he just set part of the island's jungle on fire. I thought the description I had for... I probably didn't say it very clearly. For about rings and the emerald's relation to them, I thought it was gonna take a while. We're still on Angel Island, baby. It's the first zone. Originally, Angel Island was just the name of this zone in official literature for this game, but it's very clearly referring to the whole island. They just called it the Floating Island in the manual. So it was probably only like a few days since Sonic 2. It could have been upwards of a week, but honestly, the way that 1 and 2 proceed, I believe that... Oh no. I could believe Eggman could build another, like, 3 airships in that meantime. He's ridiculous. The biggest mystery, probably so far, is where is he getting the materials for all of these robots he's making? Hey, here he is now. I'm not gonna attempt the quick kill for this. But... easy. Like, you have to wonder, where did he build the Death Egg in the first place for the second game? He must have some funding. Now, see, Knuckles is still trying to thwart us. I know the way to avoid that, but we do need to go down here for the next level. If you are playing as Tails, you can actually fly up over an invisible barrier to see him. Can't take the upper path with Sonic, we need Tails for that. This is Hydra City. Notice it has some interesting architecture. I don't really know what to compare it to. It kind of reminds me of the later structures that have a Mayan influence in Sonic Adventure. This is the background kind of looks more European though, I'd say. This is the first example of nuts. Of how there's really like a multicultural architecture on this island, which has some implications. Anyway, so Sonic 3, let's talk about the game itself for a bit. This is the 4th Sonic game released, technically, because Sonic CD came out. But it is the 2nd of Yuji Naka's team of the series. You recall, as mentioned, he led the project for Sonic 2 while Naoto Oshima worked on Sonic CD. They had a very big sound team for this game, so I don't actually know them all like before, but this song in specific for the Chaos Emeralds, the special stage, this was Jun Sanoi's premiere composition for the series. He will know his tunes for a while in the series. I think he's still technically the lead sound director. It might have gone over to Tomoyo Otani by now. That was an accident. Hey, nice rings. There is a little bit of music work by, in collaboration with Michael Jackson on this originally. None of the... I think in this version, none of the tracks that had that work really kept. In Sonic 3 Vanilla, without Sonic and Knuckles, there's a different theme for Knuckles and the mini-boss that is a product of that collaboration. Oh, fuck. Ultimately, though, MJ did not like the quality of the sound that they ended up with, so he did not want it produced. I missed... Oh, I got an extra big ring, but I missed one, too. So... get the last two in the next stage. See, that was the shield. I was able to actually hit him through his invulnerable parts using it. Get that last breath. Yeah, this is a good water stage if you ask me. Eggman has already littered this island with robots and claimed to help Knuckles. Knuckles believes him. He's trying to get in our way, but we're Sonic and Tails. We're powerful. This wall coming towards me is nothing. Tails, no! Tails, no! Didn't see that! See, he's still alive. You can hear him. Tails is also powerful. I promise. Key video game thing, character ability in this. Tails, I don't think Tails could even actually fly on his own if you played him in Sonic 2, and he can in this now. He can also... Wow, we are hitting all of the little bugs today, aren't we? With Tails as player 2, he can carry Sonic. His ability to fly is shortened greatly that way, but it's very useful to get into certain areas. Again, if you have a second player on hand. I wish I had that slash for Metropolis Zone. Remember those crabs? I don't want to remember those crabs. See, the level design is way bigger now. And also, you notice right there, underwater, Tails can swim. He has a doggy paddle. That's a thing that I notice as the games go on. It slowly transforms from a doggy paddle to freestyle. So he gets better at swimming as we go. There we go. So I believe this is the 6th emerald that we're getting. Despite the blue, it is the red emerald, which is the color I forgot about last week when I was saying different types of barrel. To be fair, red barrel's best just called red barrel, because the other name for it is Bixbite, which is easily conflated with Bixie Bite. Yes, the same geologist named both of these stones, Why? I couldn't tell you. But Red Barrel is actually the rarest one. That said, in Sonic 1, the 6 colors of the Chaos Emeralds that were around were green, blue, red, yellow, the pinkish purple, and white. And it was the cyan one that they excluded in that, which was also, if you remember, the first one we grabbed in Sonic 2. So that's the 7th emerald that was on West Side Island. That bit of lore, of course, I should have said last week. And now we have all but the cyan one. So we will be able to become supersonic soon. Delightful bit about conserving your rings in this, though. That was A+ performance from me right there. When you have a shield with Sonic, the super abilities are hard-coded to activate when a character uses their double jump ability. So, because Sonic does not have his instant shield slash when he has the shields, those will prevent him from becoming supersonic, which is great for conserving rings. A little more annoying when you're Knuckles or Tails and you don't want to go supersonic yet, but you want to use your innate abilities. I am getting the worst cycles. These are all global cycles, I'm pretty sure, and I'm just messing them all up. I'm sorry, I'm talking like a speedrunner, because I did watch, the Sonic and the Glitches Gauntlet on Games Done Quick this weekend. We're not here to speedrun this one, at least, with Sonic and Tails. I missed it. It's okay, we can recover. Not entirely, okay. It's okay. Remember, Sonic doesn't do good with water. He can't swim. He is kind of scared of it, to be honest. He's being a very brave boy right now. I do also sort of make these look easy, I understand. This is a special stage that definitely took me a while the first time, which makes sense, it's the last one. The stage direction is not very clear, sort of just have to know where to go after a while. Sonic got all Chaos Emeralds within 2 stages. To be fair, you can get all of the Chaos Emeralds in Emerald Hill in Sonic 2 if you're careful. And want to suffer. Once again, nice rings. It's that dastardly Knuckles again, isn't it? He's okay, don't worry. Oh, let's talk about the bonus stages. Much like the special stages in Sonic 2. Afternoon, Matt. In this one, you gotta get your casino in there somehow. So there's just general bonus stages that don't get you a Chaos Emerald at the posts. Whether you have 25 rings or 50 rings, it depends on which one you get. That was my least favorite one. There are two others. Tails. Secret strap. I'm failing on all accounts today. Yeah, we didn't really see Supersonic last time because it was only the ending cutscene. You're completely invulnerable when you're Supersonic. You can still get crushed, and your rings will deplete, and once they hit 0, you will stop being Supersonic. And that's another relation to the connection of the emeralds and the rings. When you're using the emerald's power, you're using rings. And you need those rings to use the power. So it's very interconnected. I've never been able to figure out what the architecture really is in this place. There's peaches on the trees. It's almost like kind of like a Mediterranean, but like very grassy, Indian-ish at points. Maybe it's just great, actually. But as you see, I got a big ring, and now that I have all the Chaos Emeralds, they just give me a bunch of rings. 50 specifically, and there are a ton of them in here. You can really rack up the rings in this level. Not if I keep doing that. That's not a spike. Yeah. I was about to beef it. So, another thing that these are useful for, the bonus stages, they negate Supersonic. Here's the one with the orbs. Ponder this one. As I fail at it. Wow. And see, that's why I like this one and the one that's originally from Sonic 3 that is a gumball machine. You get rings, shields, all kinds of stuff in here. There's 1-ups. The other one is just a slot machine. It's very it's very luck-based. Nobody likes luck-based. There is... You notice the little beam at the bottom would have been following me, but I am too fast. The hell? We are having a time today, huh? These crushers right there, nice, sometimes will just kill you regardless. You'll notice Sonic's eyes are green now. They're always green. They just don't really show up until this. In this game. Also, I realized there weren't mini-bosses in the previous games. We just hit the signposts. This game did introduce the mini-bosses between that are just stronger robots that take 6 hits to destroy that Eggman sends out. And also the level transition is seamless, if not with a little cutscene in between. Speaking of cutscenes, we did have an opening cutscene for this, and that's one of the things I really like about this game. There's basically gameplay cutscenes. This kind of counts as it. A little show that Eggman's around here, and he's gonna try to do stuff to make it harder for us to get by. But we're too fast for that. But it adds a layer of storytelling to the game that was not in the previous ones. I don't usually take this route. So I don't really know where I... Yeet. It's fine. Yeet. Jumping is not on point right now. I guess we should get into time of day. No, we can do that later, when it's relevant. Yeah, look at that structure in the back right there. What kind of architecture would you say that is? I cannot believe how bad I'm doing right now. And there's whatever this thing is. It's a face for sure. Yeah, it's sort of later in the day now, though, for Sonic. Probably assume that he got to Angel Island in the morning. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, you do say a little bit of Indian in there? Kind of felt like that. There'll be some there'll be some more obvious Indian later. And, some Egyptian. Like I said, sort of like some Mayanish, Aztecish. There's nothing to really go off of by pointing this out, but it just has implications of the people that lived on this island, how much land this island actually took up. Again, these are big islands that we're working with here, and Angel Island is no exception, despite it flying in the sky. And that's why there's so much space to run. Rude. There we go. Everyone's favorite crumbly area. This is like the first really difficult part of the game when you first play it. Didn't seem like it, it was short. You can tell which special stage it is by the color of the stars. That was the lighter orange stars. That makes it the jackpot bonus. So we don't want that. That's the one that usually shows up at 25 rings. The other two show up at 50, because they're better. I mean, you could blame it on breaking all of the walls and pillars, but Eggman was drilling and causing the commotion. See? You cannot blame this on Sonic. So now Tails is carrying... Oop. And I can kinda control Tails with the D-pad, with the directional input. But Sonic is jumping. Miss. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. This is also a fairly hard first boss on the first round. So when you're distracted to entertain people, I guess I would fall back to that. I'm actually not sure if these hits actually add to the hit counter. They probably do. That was what, like 5? Okay, yeah. That was 7 hits. We are still freeing the animals. Eggman's still using those animals for power. Now the day is ending. And where else should we go than a carnival? As I said before, that Eggman has possibly a carnival problem. We'll see more of that later, too. There's for sure, there's a city here. It's probably where the people that lived here were most populated after the generations. But I don't think it was a carnival the whole time. I think Eggman did this. Ow. Oh, okay, well, I guess we're not getting the big ring. I'm honestly embarrassing myself. I wasn't embarrassed in Sonic 2 until I mess up on Silver Sonic, but boy howdy, this is the game I've played the most. And it sure doesn't feel like it right now. I usually take the upper route. This is also the stage that I've gotten upwards of 800 rings in a go before. That might have been Act 2. No, I don't think it was Act 2. The upper route would have taken me up this bottom area. I promise this works. Oh my god. Oh, sure. Oh, sure. Things I've said about accidentally going supersonic when you're Tails or Knuckles is definitely the case with Sonic sometimes, too. So, these special stages are... they're just kind of a temporal existence. But they're like a natural part of this world. This world that has something called the Chaos Emeralds on it, so, like, as natural as that can be. For as structures of it as it looks, I actually wonder, this one's so machine-looking, if this is actually an Eggman altered one. Then again, one's a casino jackpot, and another one's a gumball machine, so it's kind of whatever. Almost all of the special stages are different in each game. Probably the most common instance is the half-pipe style that we saw in Sonic 2. If you've heard of the series Super Monkey Ball, the stages in that kinda resemble special stages. Not just kinda, but like it's another Sonic team game, so that's pretty much the intention. Honestly, I think any crossover with Sonic in those games, like in Banana Mania, is canon. This one you have to make his own thing hidden. I don't know why I'm gendering a robot, but... eventually, it would have made a hole that you could have died through. I missed. Okay. You'll remember that I got a ring out of the first act of Angel Island by letting the signpost hit the right place. There's secret items in like all of them. I just negated the swag. Okay, here we go. Upper route. Easy. Everything else has been going awful. At least that went smooth. The hardest thing I've tried to attempt so far. Okay. Okay. Yep, okay. Get it, Tails. I tried to do that ceiling run right there. That's not where I wanted to use that, but, you know, I didn't want to lose more rings. Wait, I could have showed you the gumball bonus. That's what all the white stars mean. So Knuckles just floods this place. It makes this area bright, but the lights are also off. Also, that's a point of notice. You can just break through walls as Sonic, Super Sonic, without having to, spin dash. I made it to the bottom before the water did. That is a sign of skill. But yeah, the water's decreasing. So I guess this was not naturally supposed to be flooded. If you take a normal route this stage, it could take you upwards of like 6 to 8 minutes to get this far, like on your first run. And you don't want that amount of time when you're this far, which I will get to. I'm not even going to do this one. Because there's a very unintuitive part coming up that is kind of infamous. It's this barrel. There's no way up here. You have to go down. And it's actually very easy on what you need to do. You just have to press up and down and make it do this. You can do this with most of them. But when you first get to that, especially if you're like 4, you're gonna try to like do a jump thing. I think I missed a shortcut. Wait. You're gonna try to do a jump and like try and force it with momentum, and you will probably get a timeout on it by like doing stuff like this. Like it kind of works, so it feels like it, but you just go up and down. Like, people hate that barrel. No joke. It is the bane of some people's existence for playing this game at all. It is a reason people will not like this game at times. And it's actually an easy bypass. Occasionally you'll have like one person that's like, what? It was very clear for me to do. And I'm just like, alright, Mr. Galaxy Brain, were you 5 years old? I didn't think so. In fact, quite a few mountain ranges in the back. This is a rough battle. Just noting. There's a lot of waiting. Actually kind of wonder, because you notice there are lights in the back, in the mountains. I'm not sure why. This is not an inhabited island. Good job, Tails. You got the last hit. But these mountain ranges that we've been seeing since and the end of Marble Garden Zone, we're about to go to them. To the peak of them, no less. I think I need... Do I need Tails? Yeah, okay. Because it's time for a morning snowboard. Yeah, baby. Be cool, be wild, and be groovy. You can see in the background it is barely daylight, but it's very bright up here because of all the snow. Okay, Sonic's dead. Game over. No. We're actually... Oh, whoops. I wanted that music to keep going. Oh well. So we're inside the mountain. It's nice and cold. Early. It is. It's a very good track. I'm sorry for going supersonic. There's a less frigid part of the mountain that we will see in Sonic Adventure. Sonic Adventure is great because it really tries to work off the lore of this game and build on it. Ooh. See, I got a jackpot, a Sonic, and a ring, and I didn't get anything for that. It's bogus. Why nobody likes that bonus stage. I don't know if other people don't like that bonus stage. It's my least favorite. There's a face on this ice slide. And cat ears. Some orbs in the background to ponder. hit by those or you'll get frozen. More juice. Tails, what was that? Good job, Tails. Always getting those last hit. Alright. Sunrise. True sunrise, at least. I was just thinking, this is probably like the glacial ice flow where... Well, it's not really glacial. The meltwater river. Those things with the spikes around them, those spikes are made of ice. Electricity melts ice, apparently. You can also hit them with the fire shield. We are going in the opposite way of its flowing, but we are going to... The next stage is going to be based around Dragon Lake, where the meltwater probably goes to. Yeet. So you'll notice the TVs are a different flavor than they were in the last game. They're less boxy, more sleek. Ah, missed it. There's a lot of rings up there. He's fine. As Tails just showed you, I was gonna say I could have freed him by hitting him. It's a good reason to have two players on this boss. Because if you let the ice just happen to you, you take damage. Alright, let's go to the lake, to Launch Base Zone. What's that we see in the background? Other than more mountains. More redder mountains. That's the Death Egg, baby. Hate those. Alright, have a good day. I mean, it doesn't sound like it'll be a good day, but good luck. Oh, I don't have my... You can hit these guys with his insta-shield, but I will turn supersonic if I try to hit it. And it was all for naught. Thanks, Tails. So yeah, you sort of have these like Arabian-ish pillars that are around here, along with this sort of sandstone structuring that was clearly mostly made by Eggman. It's very mechanical. Wow, I went right into that. A little late. Whoops. Well, now I have the jumps to go up here. I watched a run this weekend of a mod for Sonic Adventure 2 called Dash Adventure 2. And it took the premise of if Sonic was a rabbit named Dash. I don't know if it was originally going to be named Dash, but this one is. And brings up a good point how Sonic had quite a few design renditions before they landed on Hedgehog. One of them was in fact a rabbit, which is what inspired that. And I believe the first name for Sonic the Hedgehog was going to be Mr. Needlemouse. And Eggman's original... Hey, it's Knuckles! He's blowing up this structure because he... Well, you know? This might be built around... It might be modified by Eggman. Just kind of blew up this building for no reason. Love graphical glitches. Okay, we're about to run out of rings. Get back here, you. Supersonic does make everything easy, but I almost ran out of it. Yeah, Eggman's original design was just a man in pajamas with a big mustache. Okay. Some water pipes here. Got a water area. We're actually in the lake now. You can see the mountains are closer. I just love little details like that. You can tell you're going places as you go through the stages. I mentioned music earlier, how there were like some differences in the prototype version, and all of these stage songs exist in vanilla Sonic 3, but Ice Cap, Carnival Night, and Launch Base have different prototype soundtracks. And I do not like launch bases. It sounds like a sort of military march thing. But like in a patriotic way, not in like a there's a big death robot in the background we have to worry about way. The PC version, the original PC version, I know I'm playing this on PC, but released as Sonic and Knuckles Collection back in like 1997, 6, 8. I had that, and it had MIDI versions of those prototype songs. Which, Carnival Nights is pretty good, but I definitely prefer Ice Cap and Launch Base on this, and having them as MIDIs did not help. For those who are not very savvy with music files, MIDI is that very basic synthesized type computer music. So we just stole Eggman's mobile. Tails wants to get in too, but I didn't let him because I'm mean. And Knuckles thinks he can stop us. And honestly, he probably could, If Eggman wasn't a jerk and decided to launch the Death Egg right now with him underneath it, where did he get the materials for these rockets? He's just been on Angel Island this whole time. That's what I'm talking about. This is a mystery. I told you I would tell you all the deep lore. I don't know this lore. Eggman is... he just has resources. He probably does it without slave labor, too. Which is better than you can say for most people in this world. No. Okay. That's fine. We don't have to do the big arms battle in this, unfortunately. In original Sonic 3, this is where... this is the final boss. Or the final boss would be right after this. It's called the Big Arms. We'll see it when we play as Knuckles. And there's a slightly alternate ending with Sonic 3. We've just detached from the bottom of the Death Egg. Dramatic silence. What's going to happen to it? Seems like it's going to explode. And in Sonic 3, it would, right there. But it falls back down to Angel Island. Which didn't start to lift off yet. It might have started to lift off. We wouldn't know, we weren't on the ground. So Knuckles has a little secret here. Something that he uses the big rings, the powers of the Emerald on this island for. It's a little shortcut to a place called the Hidden Palace. This is our first viewing of the Master Emerald. This is where he has stored it, along with these... spots for the Chaos Emeralds. And you can do these in any order. I don't even remember which one this is. But what we want to do now is power them up to get the Super Emeralds, which are just the Chaos Emeralds, but they're feeling good. They're hanging out with their mom? I don't know. It's an emerald. They're hanging out with the Master Emerald. We're gonna have to make it happen. And what's good about this, or bad if you're bad at the game, is we can no longer go supersonic. Because we put all the Chaos Emeralds here and the power's not resonating with us yet. And this is the first instance where they're in a brilliant gemstone cut instead of the octagonal, more emerald-ish cut. So, it's still definitely interconnected to the special stages, but the big rings aren't exclusively used for going to the special stages. Which will echo the movie if you've watched it. But what the movie really echoes to me is Sonic Advance 3, and we are nowhere near there. Of course, those are just rings of power in that. And these are sometimes solid things, like these rings I'm collecting. But sometimes just, like, you touch them and you are affected. And teleported. I am just, like, having a good time here. I'm completely ignoring the fact that I should be trying to get some emeralds. Wow. What am I up to right now? Come on. It's like, it's Emerald Hill all over again. Except it's mushroomy. But I know my way around. No, I wanted to save this for last. Okay. This is technically the first stage. You don't go to the Hidden Palace if you're playing vanilla Sonic and Knuckles, but you do these special stages. Because Sonic and Knuckles on basis. If you start up that game, it will... Leading off from in Sonic 3, you would have thought the Death Egg exploded and celebrated. It starts off showing you visually the Death Egg falling back onto the Red Mountains of Angel Island. And then you can select from either Sonic or Knuckles. But you don't go to the Hidden Palace Zone in that, because you don't get the Super Emeralds in that. You need to combine the games for that. And this is why I don't like this stage. There's no direction to it. You just have to hope. Especially when I'm trying to talk. Because this is the green emerald, and it just feels it feels appropriate to get the green when you're next to when the Master Emerald's going to respond to it. You also notice the one I got before, the magenta purple one, is more on the purple side. That's the one that really fluctuates between its color in later games, between being pinker or purpler. It's still pretty much a Morganite, though. The real weird thing, you didn't get to see this because, I mean, it might have been the second emerald. That might have been orange. In Sonic 2, because the first one you got was cyan, they shifted what the blue's color was to more of a purple, while there was still a very pink one. Your flames can't hurt me on Sonic. Sonic is inherently fireproof. No, this is not a shield. Knuckles is still trying to thwart us. He just sent us into the sky to a different area. Oh, I shouldn't have gotten that. Oh well. I guess Mushroom Hill really shows the diversity of the environment on here too. I mean, we're about to, in 2 stages, get to a really extreme example of that, but we started off in a jungle, went to a more grassy ruins type area. Now we're back to like a redwood forest type area full of mushrooms, which Mushroom Hill is the inspiration for the Mushroom Planet in the Sonic movie. Just a call out. This is the hardest one to get a perfect on, because you notice I had to jump over a red one to get to a square. It is not always easy to jump over two spheres at once. In fact, it is rare that I've ever achieved that. There's our Heliodor. A little oranger than usual, but that's fine. Vengeance. We don't have time. When did we start? We started an hour, 20 minutes ago. If you're playing 2-player, you go back and forth on this, you go up high really fast. Sir, excuse you. Let's see, which one's this? I like the blue. This is also a tricky one to get perfect, but it's just because it's very technical. You have to jump into those, and you have to jump back out, and then there's a lot of jumping to save yourself. So I mentioned that Knuckles is an echidna, right? Trying to make sure I didn't overlook that. Or Mashish. Oh my goodness. Boink. Definitely a lot less whoops in this one. There's our Goshenite. That's the last one we're getting this stage, though. What else can I talk about? Could this be? Turns out Eggman was trying to drain the forest of its energy. That's why it started looking like fall, and then like death. Oop. Classic blunder. Again, like, it is very clear that Eggman is not an environmentalist. He is using living creatures for his power. I don't know why Knuckles would still be trying to thwart us. I guess he's just super convinced that we're trying to take the Master Emerald. And Eggman's just like, whatever cost, I will try to stop him. That cost being your island's health. So we've hitched a ride onto the Flying Battery, which is an airship. We're not on Angel Island anymore. Whoop. This is a much cooler airship than Wing Fortress. It also has a much cooler soundtrack. Well, that was hubris. I don't know why I keep doing that. I'm misremembering when you're supposed to do it. Really? I do the swag strat twice and then... Alright, this is the one. You can tell because I'm doing so poorly. Good thing I have 19 lives left. Sorry, this is getting repetitive. I almost want to start talking about Knuckles Chaotix. In fact, looking at the time, I might need to skip the Knuckles run. And go right to Chaotix, because I have more Chaotix for you today than initially planned. Because I'm just going to have you see me through to the end of my file, which is going to be the first time I actually complete the game fully. I've never gotten all of what's in that, the Chaos Rings. Little allusion to what I've been talking about with the connection between rings and emeralds. Wow, what? Oop, missed it. Probably choice to point out, I've been hitting a lot of what usually contains, oh, wait, I wanna go this way. of what usually contains the birds, the small animals, friends, and flickies and whatnot. There's a ton of them in this place. It feels like it's where Eggman constructs them. So I wonder if he had it built a while ago. Maybe I didn't want to go this way. Maybe I'm thinking of Act 2. Oh, we finished it. Oh no. What could this be? Why are you hitting yourself? Oh my goodness, I've never noticed before. The face, the way there's a column down the front, kind of looks like those bubbles. The blue orbs with spikes from Marble Garden. I missed. Okay. There's one right on that middle grate. It's fine. I got the lightning shield I wanted right now. This is the one. See, I knew it. Last time I didn't climb up the one that gives a little bit of the platforms would have come out of that wall if I kept waiting, like they were before when I decided actually I want to go a different way. The other one's just a shortcut. This is... Okay, maybe it wasn't the route I was thinking. Okay. We're just missing all of the Chaos Emeralds in this stage this time. I usually know where 2 of them are. So I can mirror how in Sonic 3 I get 5 in Angel Island and 2 in Hydra City. Oh, I can show you the gumdrop now. It's literally a gumball machine. I guess technically it's a gashapon. So like Sonic's been doing gacha since before it was bad. Actually, none of the Sonic mobile games are technically gacha games, I think. Like, they have the unlock mechanics, but they're not the same way. Oh, there it is. This is another one that doesn't have a lot of stage direction to it. You just sort of zigzag, and then you have to pick and choose which ones you haven't gotten yet. The blue one? Is it the gray one? How are we supposed to beat this, Eggman? Can't even reach it. Oh. You remember Sonic 2's Wing Fortress boss. Very similar setup, except we could actually hit it. So I guess Eggman sort of learned his lesson. Also that we're able to dodge lasers. So we made the laser a little more powerful to just destroy his ship. To try and destroy us with it. And it's not working. But that's not the true boss. The rest of the sink. The rest of the ship is sinking but around us. And I did not do that right. I forgot. I'm Sonic. I can't exactly do anything at this point. As Knuckles, you can just climb up. Yeah, honestly, unless y'all want otherwise, I think I'm going to actually skip the Knuckles leg of this. So I might start just saying what that's about. What feels like the canon start for Knuckles is actually at Mushroom Hill. I really shouldn't say much about it until after I beat this part. Until after we get to the last part with Knuckles in this. It is essentially he's going around cleaning up the island afterwards, though. It takes place after Sonic's part. Now we're in a very extreme environment change. These are probably on the other side of those red mountains that we saw before. Obviously a lot of Egyptian referencing here. It's not the last time we'll see Egyptian architecture in reference to Echidna lineage. The one that Knuckles seems to be descendant of is specifically the one with Mayan culture. Who knows? I mean, he's actually probably, now that I, put literally any thought to that statement before saying it, he's probably just an amalgam of the cultures. Like, they all are stuck on this island, were stuck on this island together, and he's the last one. It does feel kind of obvious that he'd have all of these connections. Hmm. I'm not taking anywhere near the optimal route. The general way that stages are designed in starting Sonic 3 is that the routes that are less optimal, which are usually the lower path, it's very windy and turny. So it takes a lot longer. It'll probably, like, take you in a huge loop to get up to a point where you just bypass immediately on the upper path. That's a rock. Oh, that's a rock man. Now if we try to attack this thing, it'll... Well, if we hit its body, it'll just hurt us, because it's made of rock. And if we attack its head, it'll be hit backwards. We want to get it over here. Tails, don't sink down there. Please. Okay. Have fun. I fucked this up. Taking the damage on purpose, but... I should stop trying to act like a speedrunner. I had a moment of hesitation there because I don't know how it didn't click for me before. There's a boss in Sonic Adventure 2 that this thing's design reminds me of on a much smaller scale. Anyway, we go into this pyramid, and it's dark and spooky. Let's turn on some lights. What? Well, guys, turns out ghosts are real. And Eggman captured them so that he could do stuff in here without them bothering him. So that's what the light mechanic is for. Keep the ghosts at bay. I apologize for those sound effects. I actually usually like to let the ghosts build up and run around with them in the dark, but I keep accidentally hitting the lights. That was not an accident, that was just subconscious. Kind of interesting that they just decided, let's introduce ghosts. We already have a mystical subdimension from Gems of Power. Why shouldn't ghosts exist? the sand areas are much more preferable with Knuckles and Tails because they have vertical capabilities. Whatever. Wow. I almost messed that up. I mixed that part up with this part. Or I didn't. I'm not worried about not getting big rings, because I do know where they are, where quite a few of them in Lava Reef are. So there's no worry there. That is a Knuckles exclusive path. Cannot break that, but Knuckles is much stronger. Which is why I wanted to show a Knuckles run. Because he has different levels for quite a few. Now the ghosts are at full power. So you gotta do these like that, or they will hurt you. Wow, okay, I guess we're going this way. I know my performance isn't best right now. Well, this is weird. Oh, it's Eggman, of course it is. Good job, Tails. Huh. That is a time that if you, stage that if you don't know how to get through it, like the way I was actually kind of playing it, just by ear, you can run out of time before you hit Eggman. It's very windy. So now we've gone... Apparently there's a path from inside a pyramid into the inner mountains of the Red Mountains. So we're in an active volcano now. Of course, Eggman has modified things a bit. Eggman is, if anything, nothing if not... How's that saying go? He's nothing if not hardworking. He's just hardworking for the wrong reasons. If you break that little robot that opens the door before and you like go back to get those items that I got, you can soft block yourself there. Ow. Oop. Okay. Okay. There we go. Final emerald. Bitrate's dropping. It's not a good time to have a distraction. Of all the stages, this is the one I am most likely to slip up on. Because of the bouncing. Sometimes I misgauge it. There we go. The final Super Emerald. The Aquamarine, I believe. Oh, the one that looked purple was red. I don't know why I keep messing up with red. Now the Master Emerald is powered, and they call this hypersonic. There's not a... It's mostly a game distinction. It is ultimately just supersonic, as far as super lore goes. The Hypersonic has a few abilities that are different. Namely, your double jump becomes sort of a... It's not exactly a homing attack. It's more of a you make a big flash and everything on the screen dies. Like that. A lot more colorful. But it works as a bonus jump, too, which is handy. What is this area? I've gone somewhere. Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay, I know where I am now. I don't think I've ever taken that route before. Those clouds will drain your rings. Which I already have enough of that going on. I apologize for the flashing. I probably should have warned that. It's not high contrast though, so we should be good. At least here where there's lava. Yeah. So now, Volcano's going to become a little less active. So we can just roll on over where there was lava before. Doesn't mean Eggman doesn't have ways to put the heat on us. Misgauged that. They call me misgauged. a water shield, but any shield will do sometimes, you know? That was smart. We're gonna just move forward mode. A little bit of lava. Oh no. That's not how you get to that place. There's a shortcut down below that will launch you to the top, but with Sonic you kind of have to get up to the top first anyway. Oop. Okay. Alright, seems like it's all smooth sailing from here forward, right? There's the death egg. We can put a stop to this, right? Ah, Knuckles. No. And then Sonic died again. Nah, he's fine. But this area isn't fine. Got a tricky auto-scroller coming up. Platform's getting blasted. Faster pace than your usual auto-scroller, which is appropriate. Because this is Sonic. Oh, and I slipped. Take a look at the armor that Eggman's in, though. That looks sturdy. It is designed for lava, after all. Can you think of a real-world object that can withstand lava? That's not the shield we want. Because, for as intimidating as this boss is, it is actually quite easy to cheese it, as long as you don't get hit. Because it is as invulnerable as it looks, but luckily it has to do something to try and keep us from just dodging. So we just let it hit himself. You have the fire shield, you can just walk on lava. Don't worry about Tails, he'll be fine. If I didn't have it, though, I would have to just jump around like this. Does take a while, though. I think the time for this area resets itself because having to wait through all of this could easily kill your run of the level. We gotta chill things out because we're way too close to the Hidden Palace to have active lava happening right now. This is the first scenario of sort of an Act 1 and Act 2 are separate. Well, in this game. It's kind of like how Sky Chase was Act 1 and Wing Fortress was Act 2. I could have been a jerk. So, here's the mural I was talking about while I fight Knuckles. His last stand. Looks like a super entity is trying to take... I'm not paying attention to Knuckles at all right now, by the way. Trying to take the Master Emerald from a Guardian? We're about to fulfill this prophecy, though, in the opposite way of how Eggman interpreted it. Of course, Eggman interpreted it because this was his goal all along. Especially now that we've powered it up. All three of us are trying to stop him, but he just happens, and Knuckles has a bad time. Also, this is like the most distinct example of a playable cutscene, as I mentioned in this game. Knuckles has an idea, though. It's not feeling great, but wants us to follow him. Up to the Sky Sanctuary, which is a sort of separate entity from the island itself. That can't be good. How many times do we have to blow this thing out of the sky before Eggman decides to just completely rebuild it or a different space station? Okay, Knuckles is gonna chill. And he needs to conserve his energy, because he's got work to do after this. But he is officially on our side. We are friends with Knuckles now. Friendship wins in the end. Sonic's goals are complete. Except they're not. We still have to save the island. The architecture on this place is also kind of weird. It has pillars. Kinda yellow. It looks more marble in the Generations version of it. But it's sort of like a retro, futuristic type area. Except it's dilapidated. As if it were just in the past. Oh, we gotta get rid of these egg robos, though. Well, these platforms look familiar. That's not Eggman, though. But he is gonna bring back some previous game antics. This is a second mechanical Sonic. It looks way cooler. It's got the color right. And if I play this right, we're gonna skip the second encounter with it. So, yeah. I'm not gonna do the Knuckles run, unfortunately. I really intended on it. I don't think I realized just how much time this game takes up. And I think we can beat Knuckles Chaotix in less than an hour. I didn't skip it. It's very easy to skip it with Tails, but it's the worst boss. Except we are hyper. I was gonna show you how the instant shield negates its power entirely and makes it very beatable, but there are multiple ways to make it very beatable in this game. Which just goes to show how much stronger Sonic has become in the past few days, dealing with all this Eggman business. So after this, Knuckles is gonna try and chill out, now that his emerald seems to be safe, but there's still a bunch of robots on the island. Namely, he's in the Mushroom Hill, and he gets attacked by one of these egg robos that we not necessarily failed to destroy, but just there were so many of them who could keep track of them in a pile of rubble after we're done with them. Oh, whoops. Okay. So he goes on a little quest to clean up his island of robots. Badniks is what they're called. I'm not sure if I ever actually mentioned that before. Eggman's robots, at least in the English original, and they sort of adopted it later, are called Badniks. And we just defeated Mecha Sonic. The names for these are Silver Sonic, Mecha Sonic, and then the next one will be Metal Sonic. And this one's a little more resilient than Silver Sonic, which just died immediately. But it's not as resilient as Metal. So Knuckles goes around and starts encountering this egg robo that has hijacked backups of all of Eggman's boss mechs. So he has to get rid of this thing. While he's doing that, I'm not sure if he himself, Knuckles, decided to move the Master Emerald to the Sky Sanctuary, thinking like, okay, maybe this is slightly safer. But Mecha Sonic doesn't, well, the Death Egg Robo leads him there, and seems to be wanting the Master Emerald for itself for some reason. So it's a little more sentient than it seems, but it gets destroyed by, like for good, by Mecha Sonic, who uses the Master Emerald's charged up powers to sort of emulate Super Sonic, which we wouldn't have known that as just playing as Sonic. We just took care of business without that. But Knuckles has to face that, and you can see once in that version of Sky Sanctuary, when you're trying to defend the Master Emerald, Angel Island is back up in the sky, but it is in flux without the power of the Emerald being there directly. Now after Knuckles succeeds, because he would have for sure if I played, Sky Sanctuary, that last bit of it, finishes collapsing. But Sonic's there. He's on his tornado. He's giving his buddy one last hand before they sort of part ways for a few more days. And that's the story of friendship, basically. That's the important thing. Sonic's making a lot of friends lately. And you know, Knuckles is making a lot of friends too. He hasn't really had any his whole life. Tails, I swear... Okay. So we're in the Death Egg, and you can tell it isn't just this little thing where we fight bosses anymore. This is a big, difficult stage, and Tails is gonna drive me nuts. Tails, you're supposed to be the mechanical genius here. But it lives up to its name now. Let's get some shields so we don't accidentally hyper before we want to. Excellent. Yeah, I guess there wasn't a ton to talk about with Knuckles in this version. It was more like I wanted to have fun and play through one where I had the emeralds already. And initially I was going to describe Knuckles Chaotix while that happened. But we're gonna have plenty to discuss with Knuckles Chaotix at this point. I could probably say now, the original title for it is just Chaotix, featuring Knuckles the Echidna. It was more of a English-speaking marketing idea to be like, this is Knuckles' game, which it is Knuckles' game. You start as Knuckles in that, and Sonic and Tails do not appear initially. But several other characters do. Some of which are freshly new, some of which were in previous games, or a previous game, and some are just like old character concept that they decided to revive. This is also the worst mini-boss in the entire game. It is very brutal. That's not even the end of it. So I hate to fight that thing without super. But destroying it, we did make a significant blow to the Death Egg, as we're about to see. It's kind of open air, but, I mean, Sonic's been fine in space before. We're much higher than we were last time, though. Which also allows us to have gravity shenanigans start happening. Okay. The ideal shield for this place is lightning, because you can just walk on those electrified platforms and ceiling parts. It's a little disorienting. How does Tails fly and mess up gravity? He's just that good. You know who else is getting a lot of friends? Tails. Remember, he didn't have any. People didn't really thought he was weird until Sonic came around. Don't you hit that, Tails. It will hurt me specifically. Okay. Oh, I wanted to skip this one. These loop-de-loops are mostly just to look cool and waste time. There's basically one you can skip each. It's a pattern of you can skip one and then you need to take one in each act. Oops, okay, let's go for it. See, if I had skipped this one, I would have fallen to my death. Fallen up to my death, which is weird. This one I could have skipped. I think it's also sort of designed to waste your time, because they know you have Supersonic usually at this point. Oh! Okay, yeah, that was a skippable. It's very easy to just run up walls when you're super. Ooh, careful. But this mini boss... Oh, it's not a mini boss, is it? It is a stage boss. You can't hurt it. What you have to do is send these things after it. But you have to watch out for those spikes. Boop. Move? Okay. Weird. Get that egg! What could he possibly have left to fight us with? Oh. How about a Death Egg Robo that is several times larger than it was before? Look at that. It's so big, he's piloting it inside another Death Egg Robo. Good job, Tails. Hit its nose to show Master Emerald, which is how he's powering this thing. Boop. Good job, Tails. Is that it? Have we defeated him? Not this tenacious little boy. Little boy. He's like a 50-year-old man. Give me that emerald. Now he can't possibly have anything more. No, remember, he was piloting another robot that we didn't see get destroyed. If we didn't have all of the emeralds, this would be a point where this would be the point where we lose the Master Emerald, but we defeated Eggman. But since we have all of them, we get to chase him into space as Supersonic. Now, usually Supersonic's invulnerable, but that doesn't mean he can't get hit by a bunch of stuff that will make him waste time until he runs out of rings. Gotta blast through some of these asteroids after a bit. But when you're close to 100 rings, you should be good to face the battle. We can't hurt Eggman right now. We have to make these missiles hit. Oop. There's a lot of dashing around with a little bit of precision. But yeah, this is the first example of a Supersonic exclusive level, which becomes a staple. Mania even references us here, this game, in that if you get all the Super Emeralds, you can also become Super Tails. Knuckles also becomes Super. He also has a Hyper form. My favorite ability with that is when you glide fast into walls, you will quake the entire area and destroy all the badniks. But Tails has little flicky friends that turn super with him, and they will just automatically home in. In Mania, their supers are all pretty much the same thing. It's the basic Supersonic. And they all get to play the final stage. Which is better than they did in Sonic Heroes. Sonic Heroes is just Supersonic, and he envelopes his power around Tails and Knuckles. They didn't have to do that. But we saved the Master Emerald. And because we're not the ones prophesized to steal it, I'm gonna bring it back to Angel Island. Because we're Knuckles' friends now. And you haven't seen any evidence that this is actually a floating island yet. You've just been taking it at my word. But here you go. Master Emerald is recovered. There is no death egg on it. You're rising in the sky. Actually, a nice little touch when you play Angel Island as Knuckles. You noticed I pointed out at the very beginning you could see it. South Island and West Side Island. There's nothing out there. There's no ocean. It's just sky. I'm going to take a quick break while the credits go. Stand up, stretch, hydrate. Okay. That's Sonic 3 and Knuckles, the main story. So, the next in the continuity is, as I've mentioned a bit before, it's called Knuckles Chaotix. And those of you who know about Sonic are probably saying, "Hey Vale, What about Sonic CD? That's been out for a while now. Well, I don't think they could have expected that Sonic CD would end up taking so late in the continuity when they did send it out, but many things have left it here. But here's our first instance of Metal Sonic, canonically. And you can see these characters here. We have Knuckles, SBO, Mighty, Charmy, and Vector. So, as it turns out, as an effect of the... Ooh, I forgot to change the control scheme a little. As an effect of the Master Emerald being reactivated, and... yeah. The, another island, we got islands for days here, connected to its power, rose up from the ocean. And we've talked a lot about the connection between rings and emeralds so far. The Master Emerald's power is crystallized in this island's little subdimension as the Chaos Rings, and Eggman caught wind of it. And he's captured some people who visited, but we can help them out, because Knuckles got here last. But Eggman's escaping, because he has Metal Sonic now. This is his prototype endeavor. Anyway, Knuckles finds SBO on this isolated island that's a little off the ways from the main island. Eggman, in common form of Eggman, found this island with a power on it, and what did he do? He turned it into an amusement park. And I'm figuring what he did to get the attention of some of the characters that end up here is he actually... It's been like a couple days before Knuckles decided to investigate this island, come down from Angel Island to see it. And he actually, like, advertised it. It's like, come to what he calls the new Tragic High Zone. See our robotic attractions. But what he's really using this place for is to, well, to capture people, it seems, that might try to stop him. And he uses the Chaos Rings, he studies them and generates his own artificial power rings using them. And that's actually how he powers all of his robots in this game. They're little dull-looking rings, like the ones that we're holding. And there's a bunch of weird mechanics when it comes to connecting two characters. You can hold them and throw them, and you can decide if your character has the primary momentum or theirs. You can call them back, but at the cost of 10 rings. And with that, you can actually go negative rings in this, which, you know, there's so much weirdness with rings happening. It makes sense that something like that would be possible. This first character is SBO, the chameleon. As you can see, if you just wait and idle, he starts to change colors. This is referenced in Sonic Heroes later in his ability to go invisible. Each character has a lot of different abilities, usually to match the fact that Knuckles can glide and climb to go vertical. SBO can just, in lizard fashion, stick to walls and ceilings and run across them. It's very appropriate that he's later characterized as being a ninja, because his abilities are very ninja. You see that we're slowly getting to the Carnival Island as the day goes by. The point of this island's little tutorial to get used to things is also to show the passage of time, which is a big deal in this. It changes the what robots, where the item boxes are. That all depends on the time of the day. It also affects the bosses somehow. They might be harder. I'm not actually sure about that. But, you know, 50 rings, and much like in earlier Sonic games, a special stage shows up at the end. And this is how we get the Chaos Rings. After this, you do select which primary character you play as. If anyone is still active in the chat, you may suggest whether you want... I can't believe I missed that. Whether you want Knuckles, Mighty, SBO, Charmy, or Vector. Mighty's big thing is that he's the one who was in Sega Sonic Arcade, playable with Sonic and Ray. And plays pretty much just like how you would expect Sonic to. He's very fast, stops on dime. He also has a wall jump, which is very fun. Vector, he's big, he's green, he's a crocodile. He's jamming to tunes, and he's got an air dash for some reason. And I'm not complaining. Charmy is exclusively air dashes. He is a bee. He is small. He's the fastest of the... He's noted as the fastest insect person in the world. But he doesn't have any roll or anything. He's entirely air dashing, but that does allow him to travel the entire stage that way. And I think each stage is... There's 5 different stages. I think each one is catered to a different character. Some of them are obvious, like Botanic Base is probably Charmy, because it's all flowery. I think Techno Tower might be Vector, just because it's music-based. Yeah, so there's Chaos Rings in this, and you can pretend with that I just got all of them. See? I proved it. I got all of the Chaos Rings in that time. I'll go back to character select. So we're continuing from my file that I was trying to set up before. And this will be my first time completing this with all the Chaos Rings. Nobody has an opinion, so... Let's just go Knuckles. We cheated Knuckles by not playing his round. So you have all of these attractions, which are those zones, and you select them at random. You also, much like how SBO was trapped before, the game mechanic is a UFO catcher to pick who your partner is going to be. And there's a bunch of robot ones that are awful. I'm not really sure the logic behind the stasis, but Eggman figured it out, huh? Knuckles and Vector, my boy. Vector's his original appearance was in some promo art. He was in a band with Sonic, so, I mean, there's nothing particularly canon about that, but you could say that him and Sonic are already friends, bonded over music. Speed Slider. This is probably Mighty's stage. Okay. The stages in this game are very wraparound. They go zig and zag. You go up, especially. No space is wasted. It's definitely where the inspiration for later games like Advance 3 and Sonic Rush are designed. Where am I? I don't want to go up there, do I? I do. Okay. The thing is, physics get really weird bouncing around with your connected characters, and getting them onto platforms. So it can take a while. It also can take really fast, or be really fast. Oh boy. And when a stage is that short, it's because you got lucky. So more about the characters. I mean, we know Knuckles now. The reason he came here is because he is... I don't know, something about being able to sense the... He can sense the Master Emerald. We actually have this quite established later games. So, sensing its power coming from off the island when you are with your Master Emerald, your beloved Emerald, it's weird. You probably want to check out what's going on. And this is the worst stage. But, you know, he's just made 4 new friends, and 2 of them already know Sonic. It's a small world. Apparently what Mighty has been up to since he escaped Eggman's base in Sega Sonic was traveling the world, which is what Sonic actually plans on doing next, too. Who knows, maybe at the end of this, when Sonic shows up for a bit, gives him the idea. Maybe he's already planning it. Because, you know, he left to West Side Island in the first place because he wanted adventure. Charmy, as I said, he is the fastest bug person in the world. He just kind of flew here for the adventure of it. And that probably really adds up what he's all about, like... He's just a guy looking for some fun. He's not a dumbass or anything. He's kind of childish, but, like... What are you gonna do? He's a little bee. And then, Espio, last but not least, has perhaps the most interesting reason to be here. Because he actually is a bit of an archaeologist. He has an interest in ancient cultures, and he's actually kind of, after meeting Knuckles, a bit jealous of him for being the guardian of an ancient culture. But that's the reason he came to explore whatever was going on with this island. Because there could be ancient artifacts here. Of course, instead he just got captured by Eggman. And that conflicts with his strong sense of justice. So, very easy that Knuckles and Espio were going to be like, alright, let's team up. Can't have this guy. This guy just tricked me before, and he trapped you. Who knows what else he's got trapped. So you can notice there's a lot of weird items in this. I've been growing to big sizes. I just lost all of my rings in one ring, and Vector turned into Mighty. And and now I just switched. I'm Vector now instead of Knuckles. And I really think these powers were just to show off the capabilities of the 32X system. The 32X is an attachment for the Genesis. It was Sega's initial idea for a next-gen console before they went with the Saturn. In lieu of this, to be honest. I don't know where I'm going. These stages are so windy. There's not a ton of games for it, though. There's also not a ton of games for Saturn. But it was a direct attachment to the Genesis with 32-bit graphics. And it is also the only thing... Oh, sweet, you did have a 32X? It's such a cool idea, but I think our Genesis broke before we even had a chance to get one. By the way, I have no idea what special stages do after you get all the Chaos Rings. This is wireframe? This is completely new to me. It's not very graphically appealing. The Tower of Power. Hell yeah. Like, Sega was on top of things with just, like, combining things and cross-compatibility. I think this is just the first stage again, but wireframe, so it's difficult. Yeah, like... namely, these special stages are usually more visible, but Knuckles Chaotix alone just has like a bunch of small graphical just curiosities, I guess you could call them, that really improve over the game I just played, which looked pretty damn good for a 16-bit console game. And this was just showing the power of the next generation before everyone else was doing the next generation. Virtua Fighter first came out for the 32X, and that actually had, I think, pretty full 3D, as it is known to have. Yeah, I'm about to lose at this, because I can't see anything. Let me just... Okay. Let's get a different character and hopefully not get messed up. Okay, well, it's Vector again. Yeah, this game alone would certainly take its own full stream, which is why I was hesitant to actually stream it at all, but I thought this would be a good occasion to experience the true end of the game for the first time. We're probably going to go over time. As I have previously said, I aim for a maximum of 3 hours streaming. But we started on the early side, so it's whatever. Come on, Beck. So the music's pretty cool too. I didn't list who the composer was at the beginning when I did During the Summer, which plays for the Isolated Island. And that's because it's not clear who composed everything, because there were 3 composers. I don't remember all of them. One I remember is Mariko Namba, because she shows up in actually later games, at least as late as 06 and Unleashed. Because she was the one who did basically all the music that was in the prototype Sonic Crackers, which you can find an emulator of, and it has Sonic and Tails playing with these connected ring mechanics. It's just you can't actually complete any stage, because it's not finished. It's just a very interesting idea that they decided to focus this on Knuckles and some other characters. Probably important to note, this was the first attempt at making a Sonic 4. Originally, the Sonic Crackers version was at least. And I don't really know... Oh, why did I do that? I don't really remember why they passed it off. But this was then passed on to Naoto Oshima's team instead of Yuji Naka's to work on after Sonic CD was finished. Which is part of why you have some familiar badniks from that, and also just a different, like a unique concept from the ongoing Chaos Emerald story. And also why Metal Sonic is central, because Metal Sonic was, at least in the first development, introduced in Sonic CD. Ooh. But that is the weird part. Metal Sonic is in this, and there's no way that his last classic Sonic appearance can't be in Sonic CD, with the exception of Mania, because there's a special thing that happens in that. So sort of Eggman just uses Metal Sonic as a prototype. This is like a test run before actually using it against Sonic. And also kind of puts Sonic R in like a dubious position chronologically, though Sonic R sort of just is dubious in canonicity as it is. Because first of all, the Chaos Emeralds are the wrong color, and that's like a deal killer if you ask me for this true continuity. But also, like, nothing really happens with the story. It's just, like, Metal Sonic's there, Amy's there, the Egg Robo's there. And some sick jams are there. It's... Considering how barely playable the Saturn version of Sonic R was, I like to say that it's a soundtrack with a game attached to it. Oh my goodness. Please just... do something about this enemy. So that would have to come before CD if we make it canon. But that would also make that Amy's first appearance. So, I don't know. It makes things very strange for, What am I in? This is a drill? It makes it very strange for Sonic CD's continuity, which introduced a bunch of characters, and then was just... had prequels, technically. Heck yeah, Vector. I love playing as Vector. It's such smooth gameplay. He can also climb up walls if you air dash into them. I didn't mention that before. Well... Alright. This is bogus. We're just gonna climb. Earlier stages of this... Earlier acts of this stage has palm trees on the beach. And I don't know what those structures are over there. It's just interesting that Eggman would immediately turn an ancient island from the ocean into an amusement park. Like, that is where his mind is at all times, I guess. Oh no. Small is the worst power-up, as it is not a power-up. Your physics change with your size, so you can't jump for anything. Please, Vector. Oh boy. This is what I mean when I say this game can get really finicky. Just stuff happens, and you can't keep it from happening. So this is the first boss we're doing. They all have little cutscenes. And they're all powered by these giant power rings, giant artificial power rings that you have to hit. Oh! And the lag is not my system doing it. That is inherent to the game. And like the smaller artificial rings and all of the enemies that I've destroyed but not focused on, they come out and they just shatter. Ring powering robots does come back later in Advanced 3, but those are using actual rings. And it actually really makes sense. We'll get into that when that comes, that'd be the one time Eggman thinks of doing it again. Okay, so Techno Tower is cleared. We will not get another one of those. We're making our way downtown. So, one of the things I could definitely have pointed out in a side-by-side comparison in the last stage we did, it was midday, and there were almost no badniks. So I guess midday is easy mode. I've done that stage before, Techno Base Act 5, and there were these robots with homing missiles that were giving me trouble. And they were just completely absent where I knew them to be. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell you about the different positions for the item boxes, or how that boss... I think that boss might have taken fewer hits. But now we're in the evening, and... Oh, okay. So, there are, much like on Angel Island, random big ring special stages all around, and these things are the worst, especially if you're trying to get the Chaos Rings, because all it does is drain your rings. That's basically its function. Also, I don't think I've played any of these stages the same way twice. I need you to come here, Mighty. All of the moving platforms in this game are slow and annoying. I think most stages have one. Mighty's back, guys. Just can't get enough of him. Okay. Our next boss. Eggman decides, I'm just gonna launch this area into the sky. That purple is ocean, by the way. We just left the island. And each boss has different music. The ground is moving on its own, which makes it a little tricky to navigate. Okay, so there's our first example of that. If you're at 0 rings and either you or your partner take damage, your partner disappears. And if you get hit again, that's when you get a game over back to the start of the opening area where you select your stage. After a while, your partner will come back, though, which is good because sometimes it's 100% necessary to move on. Like, having a partner makes that necessary. Okay, Botanic Base. Pretty sure this is a level 5. Or it might not be, actually. I've gone through several files of this recently, just to try and get those Chaos Rings. This might be my favorite track in the game. It is one of the few stage tracks that was definitely credited to Mariko Namba. Okay. Vex, please, calm down. I guess that tower that's not moving as much in the background is sort of the central part of this area. I've never noticed that. It's gonna be a handful of graphical things I've not noticed. As the stages of this version go on, a lot of the structures that are around, they've been overgrown with moss. So like, as you've got a little bit of a different aesthetic each time. Like these pillars here that are suggestive, they were just purple statues initially. A lot of elevators. I don't know why they thought this was good game design. It's not even as fun as the ones in Launch Base Zone. So Eggman comes in and electrocutes the ground beneath us and then steals Vector from my hands. Now he has an electrocutable... It's just really hard to hit this guy. Look at those wiggles, though. Vector will stay stuck like this until I get damaged. Yeah. Oop. Got him. Oop. I think that's the best I've ever done on that boss. It's very finicky. One of Vector's abilities in Sonic Heroes is he has like this purple gum he blows instead of the glide. And I really wonder why they chose that when he has an air dash. They could have just done the triangle dive like Team Sonic and Team Dark does. Sega does not like to refer back to this game for some reason. And this is probably because, like, you know, it didn't sell well, because, like, no one had a 32X except you. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It's for sure, having this many of the same stage makes it a little repetitive. And I'm doing my best to make that a good watching experience. But, like, the concept alone is so cool. Just all the abilities the different characters have, the aesthetics of day and night, having two characters at once is always cool. Like, it's definitely an expansion on the whole Sonic and Tails type deal, which was obviously the inspiration. Like, let's make Tails an entity that you can't ditch anymore. Like, that's clearly where they were going with this. It's also, I keep referring back to Sonic Advance 3. That's like the one time that, aside from Team Chaotix, that in Sonic Heroes, that they actually like call back to this game. But mechanically speaking, they have the tag system in that, which gives you different abilities depending on which characters you have paired together. Ooh. It's that blue ring that makes it so my rings will just become one big one. It's seen in Sonic Mania again. Sonic Mania calls back to this a lot too, but that's because it's a fan game. A fan game that Sega was like, okay, you can do that. I do like how there's a lot of long, windy areas to a lot of these stages, though. It really gives a good feel of speed. Check salt. Yeah. Okay. These are the two stages that I didn't have only one stage left to do, so I'll be here for a little bit. Oh. I don't want to go to Amazing Arena at night. This is going to be brutal. And we're only at level 3. A couple of my files earlier, I genuinely was completing stages before even doing the first Amazing Arena. It just didn't want to give it to me, which I feel like it gets a little harder as it goes in general. Also, speaking of making characters, like, unditchable, this is also very clearly designed to be a two-player game. Of course, that would take some synchronicity. We want to go down here. Yeah. The thing about this level is there's a lot of enemies guarded with spikes. And just like, even that pendulum dude right there. Oh! Thanks for taking the hit, Vex. You can't hit those floating dudes from the top or you get hurt. Oh, cool. That was smooth. There are little mini-bosses in Amazing Arena stages, and I don't know how I've been missing them these past couple. Because since we're starting this file, I definitely kept getting it. And it's kind of finicky, but if you get it, it's like 40 free rings, so it's not that bad. guess I could give a little bit of a recap, like overall. It feels worthwhile. I was thinking about how we have all of these islands, and Eggman keeps making a ton of robots for each one. They all seem to be slightly interconnected because of their history with the powers of the emeralds. I didn't even mention, I mentioned this last stream that they have a habit of doing this with instruction manuals, but it was, in Sonic 3's it did say that Knuckles was the guardian of the Chaos Emeralds instead of the Master Emerald, and the next line, it tells about how with the Chaos Emeralds, Sonic arrives at the island for its backstory thing. And I guarantee you, knowing the timeline we just established, Knuckles had never seen a Chaos Emerald before that point in time. Like, it's an intuitive thing that's like, oh well, I guard the Master Emerald. These things are like that, but small and multicolored. Little does he know how connected they are. And that the reason that Angel Island was in the sky in the first place was by using the Master Emerald to negate the Chaos Emerald's powers, which is one of its main functions. Oh no, why'd I do that? Vex! I don't need rings, get over here. The call button is basically... This button is used to have your partner character punch the screen. Good job, Vex. I'll be honest, they don't make Knuckles the optimal choice to play of in this game because his gliding and his climbing are much slower than they were in Sonic 3. If you want gliding and climbing that's a little more akin to what we're used to, it's pretty much SBO and Charmy that have those abilities. Speaking of Charmy, here he is. It's just a little guy. Because he doesn't have a rolling stance. When you launch him into the air, he, Oh, it's the boss I mentioned. He just kind of, flails. Okay. I don't have a partner now, so I can't beat this. I'm pretty sure it's actually impossible, but it's time limited, so... I don't know, usually I get it in one, but whatever. It's very weird. And I guess I expected while trying to entertain that I would beef it. So, I don't know, I went on a little tangent about the powers of the emeralds or something. I tell you what, these 3 games are absolutely the kind of adventure that Sonic was looking for. Well, this one excluded. But I think the interesting thing to consider is that there is a good chance all of these characters are just from South Island. Considering the fact that Sonic knows Mighty and Vector from just in general. And he's sort of established to be living at South Island, just like he kind of goes wherever he wants otherwise, and he was not born there. Okay. And, like, Charmy could be from wherever, but he seems to be a free enough spirit that after this whole situation blows over, that Vector, Espio, and Charmy decide, hey, we're good at this, let's start a detective agency. And then I guess Mighty actually probably sticks around for a bit, because he does show up again in Sonic Mania. Probably reconnects with Ray while Sonic's busy at Sonic CD. Having that whole situation happen. I will show an image of Ray eventually when it's relevant, but, you know. Just think a yellow flying squirrel. Ooh, okay. It's getting real laggy. Oh, I didn't get the big ring. That's probably why. This game does have a lot going on. So, we are at the last two stages before we move on to final boss territory. And I know there's going to be a couple encounters with Metal Sonic. Oh! That's something I haven't showed. There's a cool little mechanic that involves Metal Sonic. So we're just gonna chill out for a second. And by a second I mean probably like a full minute. And if we do this, Metal Sonic's gonna show up and try and blast us, because we're not on the move, so he can find us. It's a neat little form of game punishment for idling. Apparently Sonic CD has one too, but I've actually never looked into it. We should just all be Vector right now, though. Jamming. He's having the time of his life. I think it is just a full minute. Yeah. Howdy, boy. And if you leave the screen, he just kind of disappears. He doesn't chase you much. I probably should have waited to show you that he tries to blast you with, like, a laser. Something that can't work on someone who's moving, for sure. And why would you want to not move when you can move like this? Okay, where am I now? Okay. windy and turny levels. You can't just go right and have a good chance of going the right way. Okay. Gotta figure out what platform you can go up. Buddy. Can I go down here? Okay. You'd think I haven't played this stage before. Like, I have gotten the bad ending before. Oh, that's something I didn't actually go into, that I considered doing it with my Knuckles run, is that I've only showed good endings, but in the way that there is already an entire different continuity in Sonic at this point because of the Game Gear and Master System games, these games sort of have their own timelines too. Oh god. That is, if you don't get all the Chaos Emeralds, you didn't fully defeat Eggman. He's gonna get them, and you have to try again to take them away from him. Or worse. And I think there's not a lot of repercussions to that until you reach Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Because basically that determines whether or not Angel Island goes back into the sky or not, or it just stays here. I don't actually remember the ending to this at all that I got, but if you don't have all the Chaos Emeralds, like if you got the Chaos Emeralds but not the Super Emeralds at the end of 3 and Knuckles with Sonic, you will still do the Doomsday Zone against Eggman with Super Sonic. But I think you'll lose the, I might be thinking of if you just don't have any Chaos Emeralds, I think you lose the Master Emerald. Right, if you have all the Chaos Emeralds, then Angel Island will just, like, sorta go up a little bit, but not as much as it used to, I think. If you don't have any of the emeralds, you don't do the special stage, the Doomsday Zone, and instead you just have the Master Emerald fall there. Eggman dropped it. And then as you leave space, it doesn't come down out of space with you, so that's lost for good, and Angel Island is grounded from then on. Similarly, if you, in Knuckles' version, if you don't have all of the goods by the time you fight Mecha Sonic, you lose the Master Emerald from Sky Sanctuary collapsing. And when Sonic sends him back to Angel Island, it just sort of goes back down to the ground, and that's where it is. So, like, especially for the fact that it has a lot of play in Sonic Adventure, that's a big deal for the continuity, if Angel Island is in the sky again or not. Interestingly, the American instruction story for this tries to play it out as if, like, this is... like, if you're gonna make any logic out of it, which there isn't really, this is basically Carnival Night, and Eggman has expanded and taken over it on Angel Island, because it's apparently Knuckles' job to guard Carnival Island. They just pull that out of nowhere. that completely contradicts with Sonic and Knuckles unless we give the fix that I just said, which is half-assed at best. And it's not like the last time, or well, it might actually be the last time, but it's not the first time they gave weird differences in the American instructions that completely contradict, well, the game itself, as well as just established lore. Is it worth it? I guess it's worth it. It wasn't worth it. Stranded. I can't even jump over spikes like this. Vex is really funny when he gets shrunk. He becomes the same height as all the other characters. Oh, there it is. Okay. Is this evening colors? This place looks entirely the same until you've turned it on, and then it changes with its color palette depending on what time of day it is. I know this area. There we go. So this is our last stage before we end what is the most consistent 4 games in terms of plot continuity. They're all interconnected. Mighty's back. We have a whole mess of games after this that are just like, oops. That probably means I can go somewhere else. Or not. Basically, the games after these 4 are all ones that came out at different times, and some of them are intended to be placed back where they are, and some of them just default to that. Oh my goodness. Such as Sonic CD, which was released in 2000... Actually, I think 1993? And Sonic 3 wasn't until 1994? But I might be misremembered. Why won't you go up? Come on! I'm trying to shoot him upwards, and he's just not anymore. What the heck was that? That was so weird. We good? Okay. I think our next 4 games, the order I am going to play them is Sonic CD, Sonic Mania, Sonic 4, technically, in a way, both episodes, but primarily episode 2, and then Sonic Advance 2, while explaining Sonic Advance 1 in the process, but not playing it. Sonic Advance 2 is the better game. And that fills in the gap between this and Sonic Adventure, which this is the first attempt at a Sonic 4, and Sonic Adventure is the remains of the last attempt of Sonic 4. Oh my, I don't remember this boss at all, that's for sure. Actually, the second attempt at Sonic 4 was to make an isometric game. Inspired by Sonic Labyrinth, I imagine, which was for the Game Gear. This resulted in Sonic 3D Blast, which I'll probably talk about next time, I guess, because we're about to see what the final boss is all about. We're out of things. It's our old friend, or our new friend, Metal Sonic. I don't think I fully understand. Yeah, okay. This is just a no rings little gauntlet here. Okay, so I stop it on a different attack. And I got hit before Vector fully came back, so that's a game over. As much as this game overs, if in case you didn't notice, there are no lives in this. It's just, you get sent back. Luckily, there's not a lot at stake here. So I have to hit the X to do damage. Otherwise it doesn't attack, and I risk getting destroyed. Ooh, that is a large area of effect. Okay. No. Yep, no. That was a 2. Oh, okay. I thought it was homing. Honestly, this is such a luck-based battle, I'm feeling. No? See, I'm positive I hit the X there. I guess it's at the tail end of it. Okay. Nope. fine if I just stay over here. That was closer to 1 than 4. Luckily this one's avoidable, but this is getting boring for me specifically. Cool. Now hold on there, buddy. I have all 6 of the Chaos Rings. Oh, it's the artificial one. And whatever this is... Oh. I don't think I fully understand. Yeah, so Metal Sonic can transform into this with a significant power source. This is not the first or last time he does something like this, but it is clearly having an effect on him that this is an artificial source. Do I have to just, like, wait? Found a way to bypass it. Oh. Okay, so it's a solid beam, very similar to the Death Egg Robo. Which makes sense. I compare the Metal Sonic battle in Mania that references this to that of the Egg Robo. Vector. What was that? Down your foot. Okay. I know you fight this even if you don't get all the Chaos Rings, so I wonder if there's another boss. No. Cool! The Chaos Rings just prevent anything from coming back. And here's Sonic and Tails showing up... Hold on, let me do some math. 6 days late with Starbucks? Or rather, 7 days late. So there's nothing particularly special, just like you get Sonic and Tails show up and you know you've stopped Eggman's plan. He can't go around juggling his Chaos Rings anymore. Cool. And they all probably hang out for a bit. We are 40 minutes over. Which is fun. I just want to see what's after this. And y'all want to see it too. Note I have scan lines on for this. Helps the graphics pop a bit. I can't get them to look bright enough on the Genesis Classics, so I didn't have them on that. The bilinear filtering helps though. Like, if you do just 1-to-1 pixel, it looks bad not on a CRT TV. I have the ability to brighten this though. I always think it would be cool if the 32X did more, but you know, I say that about most of Sega's consoles. They got a bad run for all the cool stuff they've ever done. Okay. And that's it. Okay. Well. So, that was our Knuckles special. Next time we'll do Sonic CD. There should be enough game content there to just have us be that one game without going over. So, until next time, farewell, and keep on rockin'. Yeah.